Hi, still here? Good, because here's 5 not Nintendo characters I'd really like to see in the next Super Smash Bros. 3 rules. 1. They cannot have been in a game prior to this one. So, no mention of Solid Snake, no mention of Bayonetta, and no mention of Pac-Man. 2. They have to be feasible. Come on, it has to be a reasonable. I'm not going to mention the Dungeon Keep Horned Reaper because I really like Dungeon Keeper because that will never actually happen. 3. Video games. Video games. This is a game about video games. Here's 5 not Nintendo franchises I'd really like to see in the next Super Smash Bros. It's number 5.
Amaterasu, or as most people know her, the Okami Wolf. Oh, this game. It's probably my favorite Zelda-like that has ever come out. It was released for the PS2, got a re-release on the Wii, and then got a remake on the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch just this year. It even had a sequel on the Nintendo DS called Okami Den, about the offspring of Amaterasu, yeah, her. She was even playable in the last good Marvel vs. Capcom. For those that don't know, Amaterasu is a wolf spirit of the sun, who possesses celestial brush techniques, which allows her to invoke the powers of other gods. Taking place in heavily fictionalized Edo, Japan, and her arch nemesis is an 8-headed serpent called Orochi. How freaking badass is all of that? Now, my reasoning for suggesting Amaterasu is that Mega Man was part of the original Smash 4 lineup, and fan ballots got Ryu added to the roster. So we already know that Capcom is pretty chummy with Nintendo, and while Capcom has an enormous cast of characters to choose from, if I had to pick a third, I would pick Amaterasu because she would just seem like the most fun to play with. Imagine all the special moves she could pull off with the celestial brushes. Her stage could be a beautiful cel-shaded mountain area, making you think of Studio Ghibli. And her final smash would of course be to let the sun rise. Seriously though, the sun is a heavenly body 109 times the diameter of planet Earth, consisting out of hot plasma with a surface temperature of about 4,000 degrees Celsius and an internal temperature over 15 million. I think that would hurt. Number 5, Amaterasu, Okami.
Your number 4, please.
Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia. No, I legit don't care how many sword fights there are in this game. Plus, Lloyd has 2, so ha! I think this being the internet, some people must dislike Tales of Symphonia, because while the franchise definitely existed way before it, this was the first installment that got released in all regions. Yes, I am bitter about never having got Earthbound, Super Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo. Can you tell? And yes, I do give other people grief for liking the first 3D installment of the game more than the old 2D installments. I have opinions about Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64 and Metroid Prime, okay? But Tales of Symphonia translated beautifully. First released on the Nintendo GameCube, later getting a PlayStation 2 release, and a PC port that runs on 30 frames per second, even though the GameCube ran on 60. What's up with that? It even got a sequel on the Nintendo Wii, where you played Pokemon. Yeah, okay, the original was a lot better. I love Lloyd, okay? He's just a straight-laced hero archetype who thinks that friendship is gonna save the world because there always has to be another way. And because he's the protagonist of an RPG, there always is another way. His moveset from the real-life battle system from the game translates perfectly. Demon Fang as a projectile, Sword Rain as a rapid-fire attack, Tiger Blade as a recovery or an uppercut, and his final smash could be a unison attack, which could feature random party members from Tales of Symphonia. Basically, I want to hear Cam Clark in Smash Brothers. My reasoning behind this is that Bandai Namco was part of the development team for Smash 4, which is very obvious seeing as Pac-Man was a playable character in it. And while my inner fanboy would really rather see Callus from Bat and Kaitos, The Eternal Wings and the Lost Ocean, try saying that 10 times fast, and fan demand would probably have more people demanding Klonoa. I was never really a big fan of Klonoa. And I don't think that Baton Kaitos, The Eternal Wings and the Lost Ocean was really that big of a hit. So Lloyd feels like a very good middle ground for me. Plus, Tales of Symphonia is like a legit good game. Play it sometimes if you like. Number 4, Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia.
We're going to restore a world where everyone can live freely.
It's number 3.
Shovel Knight! Yes, strike the earth for great chivalry! Shovel Knight is probably the most well-known and well-received indie game out there, barring maybe Cuphead. It has been released for nearly every single platform you can imagine, giving gamers everywhere that have that nasty retro gaming itch a good DuckTales Mega Man-like game to play with. Shovel Knight is terrific, and if you disagree, then I don't even know what kind of a heart you may have. A broken one, perhaps. Desolate and alone. Shovel Knight has a terrific bag of tricks where you can choose in Smash Brothers. His downward shovel strike could propel him up like a pogo stick. Perhaps he could dig up gems from the earth like Olimar picks up Pikmin and launch them at plays as projectiles. And his relic should give him a bag of tricks just like Mega Man in Smash Bros. 4 with the flare wand, dust knuckles and the propeller dagger. I feel as if Shovel Knight is one of the strongest IPs that has come out of the 2010s. Is that really what we're calling it? To the degree that other game companies have put them in their games as cameos. Surely that should be the same rule as movies. Don't reference a game better than yours. Yeah, I'm side-eyeing you, ukulele. For Pete's sake, Shovel Knight even got an amiibo. Correction! Shovel Knight the game got 4 amiibos. For something that got his feet on Kickstarter, I mean, come on! Out of all my entries in this video game, this is probably the one I'm the most sure of. Shovel Knight is going to be in Smash, and if not, I'm going to eat my hat with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. Shovel Knight is going to be in Smash 5. Change my mind. Number 3, Shovel Knight from Shovel Knight Shovel of Hope.
Welcome to number 2.
Jack from Mad World. Yes, I'm really stretching the feasible part of the 3 rules I came up with, but I'm going to give you the reasoning straight off the bat. Platinum Games is partnered with Sega. Sonic the Hedgehog and Bayonetta are already in Smash 4. They developed Mad World for the Wii, and Nintendo gave them funding so they could develop Bayonetta 2 for the Wii U and Bayonetta 3 for the Nintendo Switch. Also, the wonderful 101! And yes, they've also developed games exclusively for other platforms. And yes, the wonderful 101 and 2B from Nier Automata would probably be more likely candidates to appear. But we're still talking about my favorites, my wants, my needs. Go make your own video listicle on the internet, please. Jack is just a badass of immense proportions. He's got a chainsaw on his arm. Who else can say that? Okay, that's 2 people, you stickler. Oh, fuck off. And the best part should be that Jack in his normal colouring should just be black and white. You know how Kirby and King Dedede have that slightly grey, slightly green look, reminiscent of the old Game Boy games? Yeah, Jack should just be a monochrome from his Wii outing, and not the slightly coloured version from Anarchy Reigns. I know it may seem like he doesn't have a lot of potential for moves, but if they can make the Villager and the Wii Fit Trainer work, I'm sure they can add a couple of things for good old Jack here. Have him slam opponents with traffic signs, have him dump oil barrels on top of their heads. Bugger me, you could give him a motorcycle just like Wario has. Now I'm not quite sure what his final smash would be, but I don't think you could go wrong with a good game of man darts. And okay, I kinda have to address the elephant in the room. Yes, Mad World is a hard M game. But I refer you to the aforementioned Bayonetta, who's obviously also a very adult-oriented game, and Solid Snake in Super Smash Bros. Brawl kind of, made more family-friendly with lethal, deadly explosions, which are, for all ages, as opposed to firearms and killer moves. Yes, Mad World has probably got a world record for the most amount of blood spilled in a single game, but just because Jack has a chainsaw in his arm doesn't mean that he has to cut through people. What do you think swords are for? Slapping people on the arse? Jack just oozes personality, and if you could get Steve Bloom to do a couple of lines, that would just be magic, wouldn't it? With a standout look and a standout vibe, I think Jack would be an excellent addition to Super Smash Bros. Number 2, Jack from Mad World.
I don't help people. I kill them.
And now for some audible and disaudible mentions just as I can. Sans and Papyrus from Undertale. Yeah, they're probably gonna be in there. But this is my list about people who I want. Goku! No, really, get out of here. I don't want Goku in Smash Brothers. I am not on board for this. This may sound anal, but I want to keep my Smash Brothers animation free, please. Miles Tails Prower. Yeah, he's probably in it. I don't care. I don't really care about Sonic. Banjo-Kazooie. I know Phil Spencer, the CEO of Xbox, said it would be cool if they were in Super Smash Bros. But even though Minecraft is now on Nintendo Switch and Xbox owns Minecraft, I'm not quite sure how much of a one-on-one the former Rare company owner is now friends with the Rare company owner. I'm just iffy about it. Crash Bandicoot! This is another mascot franchise that I never really got the appeal of. Like, I've played a couple of games, but I never got why they got so popular. Nonetheless, I appreciate the fact that everybody can have different opinions and that the world would be a very boring place and everybody liked the same things. But I'd like to say that Crash Bandicoot would be an awful entry. Boo! The Rabbids! Could we not? I mean, Rabbids and Mario Kingdom Battle was alright, but I don't want them in the Smash game. Speaking of Ubisoft, Ezio from Assassin's Creed. Please no. Okay, maybe the Rabbids if they're like the new Fighting Me team. You know, the wireframes. Mike Haggar! Yes, Haggar is my favourite Capcom character, but I don't see him getting an entry. I would love it so much though. And now for the epic conclusion.
Yes, number 1.
Simon Belmont! Oh yes! Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes! Castlevania is my favourite video game franchise that isn't owned by Nintendo. Here we have what is probably my favourite franchise that isn't owned by Nintendo. And yes, while I smack-talk Captain N, not having Simon Belmont in Super Smash Bros. While Mega Man and Pit from Kid Icarus were, feels like there's some kind of key element missing of a trifecta. And while yes, the Castlevania series veered away from playable Belmonts under the guide of Koji Igarashi, their importance got ramped up.
The Belmont clan will hunt the night.
And yes, there have been other Belmonts. There have been more popular Belmonts. There have been more powerful Belmonts. There have been Belmonts that are kind of a creator's pet. But Super Smash Bros. Is a series that harkens back to the classics. And what's more classic than the original game that started it all? I would be willing to compromise if the character was just called Belmont, if the alternate colours were just the different iterations of the family lineage. And yes, I know everybody considers Alucard to be the MVP because he's a white-haired pretty boy that starred in the first official Metroidvania on the PlayStation 1, and a lot of people got their first Castlevania experience with Alucard. That's fine. I just don't like him as much as the original Belmont cast. I mean, why would you add another sword character if you could add a whip user, a completely unique weapon? The Castlevania series missing from what feels to be the old-school all-stars of all video games ever just feels wrong to me. And I'm repeating myself, and yes, I know Konami has got an odd track record when developing games recently. I mean, Metal Gear Survive and Super Bomberman R. Castlevania seems to have been kind of forgotten because Lords of Shadow 2 didn't perform as well as they wanted. But I hope that their experience with Super Smash Bros. Brawl and Solid Snake was positive enough for them to consider lending their character to the roster. Imagine all the fancy moves you could pull off with the whip. You know how Samus uses her grapple beam as a throw? Well, something similar like that. And of course, all the sub-weapons would make for terrific special moves. Holy water, so your enemies can't approach you on land. The crucifix would be a boomerang, kind of similar like Link's, but a little bit more slow-paced, akin to the series. And the axe could be used to pick off players who really like to jump around like a Mexican jumping bean. As for a final smash, obviously you would have to borrow a little bit from the future, make it an item crash. Maybe they could be at random so you don't really know which one you're getting, but it's always like an area of effect kind of thing. Listen, I'll be honest, Super Smash Bros. Mostly works on nostalgia. Everybody has their own favorites, everybody grew up with different games in their past. Even though I personally think that Cloud Strife shouldn't have been part of Super Smash Bros. 4 because he's never been on a Nintendo platform before, I respect that the Final Fantasy VII is nostalgic property for a lot of players younger than I am. This is my biggest reason. I love Castlevania, and I love Super Castlevania 4. It's probably one of the 3 first games I've ever played on the Super Nintendo. It was because I was only a couple years old and my brothers and my cousin rented the Super Nintendo from a video rental store. Yeah, kids, remember video rental stores? Remember that you could rent consoles from them? I'm not sure, I think they rented 3 games at once, or they rented it several times, and one of them had Castlevania 4. The other 2 being SimCity and Super Mario World. So I just remember playing that game, getting into the fortress, and Simon's theme starting up. And by God, that is a rocking theme, isn't it? I mean, you've been listening to it for the last couple of minutes. This is my nostalgia trip. And if I want one nostalgic thing in Super Smash Bros., it's Castlevania. And if I want one thing from Castlevania, it's Simon Belmont. Please, just make it happen. Number 1, Simon Belmont from Castlevania.
That was it. My choices, my impeccable, flawless choices that nobody in the world can correct me on, because I make the best decisions and then upload them into a YouTube video, or I make a video and then upload it to YouTube. It only becomes a YouTube video once I've uploaded it. So thank you. Please let me know what you think of it, because I don't really care.